Well, 25 years later now, you have a chance to relive those classic Shindig moments as Rhino Home Video has gone to the vaults to bring you Shindig to the public. It's a 3-volume set. It's Shindig. I'm getting a piece of this, so please go out today. No, I'm joking. I love the people at Rhino, and I hope they do real well with this, but I thought it'd be fun to bring in, you remember the original host? Maybe you don't. He's still living, and... No, he's a young guy. He's a young guy. He's a great guy, too. Let's get Jimmy O'Neill out here. Jim O'Neill from Shindig. Still loving. No, you're a young guy. I can't believe...
Oh, thank you. I'm still living 26 years later. I was only 24 when we went on the air with that show.
24?
Well, everybody's got their calculator out. I'll tell you now, I'm 51. Okay.
How'd you get the job? Because I know a lot of guys wanted that one.
I'll tell you the truth.
A lot of guys were up for it, too.
I was the Rick Dees of the 60s. A lot of people...
I'm so sorry, Jim.
A lot of people across the United States do not realize that Rick Dees for the past 10 years has been, in my opinion, the best disc jockey in the world, and he's on the air in Los Angeles every morning. And I'm a fan of yours. I really am, Rick. I remember you from Solid Gold. I was a big fan of that. You were great on that show.
Thank you. Well, it's just been one scratch to the middle.
And I love this show,
That's
too.
So nice. Thanks.
And what a nostalgia trip this is for me. I have not been on the ABC lot here in Hollywood since January of 1966. And it's just been...
What does it feel like? Because, you know, things have stayed the same. There are curtains I see backstage here where they put the date on. It was 1958. And the same people pulling the curtains up and everything. They're not even living anymore. They just attach little, they attach little motors and say, Yokas, pull that curtain up. And it's just a dead person pulling this curtain up. It's amazing.
You know, I saw Ringo Starr about 6 months ago, and I reminded him that we spent 2 days in London taping an episode of Shindig with the Beatles. And I said, do you remember that, Ringo? And he said, yeah, I do, but it seems like another lifetime, doesn't it? And
you had all of these acts on Shindig. You had the Beatles, the Rolling Stones. The Supremes we just saw.
Yes.
Could that even happen today?
I would like to think it can, but I'll tell you the truth. The thing that made Shindig, in my opinion, a historic slice of rock and roll was that it was really the only show before, or for that matter since, where you could have every week in our finale a scene like we only see today in the finale of the Grammys every year. 18 superstars all out there together jamming on the same song. And it happened every week. In the lot here at ABC in Hollywood, just next door, they've kind of torn the studio down.
No, it's the soundstage next door, 50 yards away.
Yeah, really they do General Hospital there now, they tell me. I want to tell you my favorite Shindig story. Can I tell you?
Oh, please.
I saw Bobby's cute little baby on the show a minute ago, and it made me kind of teary-eyed and nostalgic about a moment. A few years after Shindig had gone off the air, they've never rerun the program. It's really been... The tapes have been lost for 25 years, so I have not seen a Shindig episode since the last one that I taped in January of 1966. However, the wonderful producers over at Hanna-Barbera, Mr. Hanna-Barbera themselves, called me one day and said they wanted to do a takeoff on Shindig and call it Shin Rock. And they wanted Fred Flintstone to be discovered by Jimmy O'Neill Stone and turn him into, like, the rock and roll rage of the country. And this was going to be a little cartoon episode. So they made it, and I voiced it, and they came up with a little character of me that looks quite a bit like I used to look. And it reruns about every 13 weeks, Rick, all over the United States. And I'm almost more famous for that cartoon than I am for Shindig. And my son, who was born in 1969, about 5 years after the show started, was just a little baby, and he loved the Flintstones, and he watched it faithfully every week, and they finally get around to the episode that I'm on. He's about 4 or 5 years old, and he's just mesmerized, because he knows this cartoon looks a lot like his daddy and sounds exactly like his daddy, and he's watching it, and looking at me in the living room, and looking at the cartoon, and I could just see his little 5-year-old brain wheels turning, and when it was all over, he looked up at me, and he said, Daddy, do you really know Fred Flintstone?
Oh, man.
And over the years, as he got a little older, he'd hear me telling stories about working with the Beatles and the Rolling Stones, and I used to double date Elvis and all this stuff.
Of course.
And he'd say, who are the Beatles? You know, but he remembered Fred Flintstone, I'll tell you.
You discovered major talent. You had some of the strangest things on Shindig. In fact, let me take you out to a break showing you a major Shindig discovery on these 3 cassettes from Rhino Video. See if you can recognize this lady as this guy introduces her. Well, look at this.
The beautiful Miss Zsa Zsa Gabor.
Thank you, Jimmy. And hello, you darling Shindigers. Put on my high heel sneakers and wear that big hat on my head. I'm pretty sure of one thing. I know I'm really good enough to